Hey,
Whoa,
welcome
Shannon.
to the 24/7 Marriage Podcast. I am Shannon.
And I'm Javier. And I'm still like at this table not feeling like what I need to do with myself. Like, I don't know what it is.
Do you want to stand on top of the table? Like, what do you want to do?
No, maybe I need to do a standing podcast. I'll stand.
Oh, nobody's going to watch that.
All right.
Because you'll make everybody feel anxious.
Well, welcome to the 24/7 Marriage Podcast. I am Javier. And of course, this is Shannon. And we are so glad that you are here.
Do you know that I already introduced us? So you went and...
You didn't say my name. And you didn't say welcome to the 24/7 Marriage Podcast. You said, hey.
I said, welcome to the 24/7 Marriage Podcast. I'm Shannon, and this is him.
This is this guy.
This guy.
The
husband du jour. I only have one. You're the only du jour.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is happening, but thank you, Shannon, for that. I appreciate it.
So, for how many years have you been going on this annual fishing trip? You're about ready to leave in a couple weeks. Has it been since you were like 5 years old, or would you say you're a little bit older?
So what Shannon's talking about is every year. I mean, I try to do more, but every year I do one trip.
Just talking about this annual trip.
Yeah, so I do a trip with family, with uncles and cousins and all that, and my dad, and we do an annual fishing trip up to the Sierras in California, in the Mammoth area. I've been going there since I was probably 10 for the last 40 some years.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
And we've been married 32 years, and I would say, oh, God, this is so hard for me to remember. Maybe around year 10 or 12, it started with just sticking a note in your bag that you left with. So it started with a note, and then every year it evolved, and I got more creative, and then it became a couple notes.
Yeah.
And then if you touch the microphone, it will turn into a weapon.
If you guys are, if you're not watching this on YouTube,
it's sharp and it's heavy.
Shan, no one can hear you if you're not talking your mic. Okay, go. So every year you would. So what she's done?
No,
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Do you want to take over?
No, go ahead.
I really feel like you need your own podcast where Javier can just say whatever he wants with nobody there as a co-host.
Oh, perfect. Sign me up.
Yeah. And last week's podcast, I told you to leave for the Sierras and you can go for a whole month and you're still here. So you had your opportunity to leave.
Tempted.
And you didn't leave.
Tempted.
So it started with just a note, and then it turned into like multiple notes, and then it turned into like a letter to read each day. And then I got really creative and I would pick a theme or I would pick something to do. So whether one year I did something funny where I found the most obnoxious, hideous pictures of you and I printed them, and I just kind of made fun of you, but in a loving way. So every year I have a different theme. This year's theme, it was deep. They're very, let me just say this. Javier is going to cry every single morning. And I don't want to make you cry, but in the season that we've been in a really tough season of marriage, not us together, just a lot of things that we're navigating. And I just really felt that I was supposed to go this direction. So your letters are already written and they're already bound and tied together, sitting on your dresser, ready for you to pack.
Yeah. And so that I think something like, that you have done that always is something I enjoy, and a lot of times I've held on to them.
Can I just say,
year over year,
for the audience listening, I have never ever had a letter slipped into my bag when I've gone away somewhere. Just saying.
Well, you rarely go away. I
go away a lot.
You want little notes when you go away for every day? Okay. I can do that. You know what speaks to me is like words and all those things.
Actually, if you slipped $100 bill into my duffel
exactly.
bag,
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's to me, words matter and those things matter. And so, yeah, you've always done that, which is great. But, it tells people like even small little things, leaving a Post-it note for your spouse or a little note on the dashboard of their car to say, hey, I miss you, I love you, whatever it is. Like, I think all those things are amazing and great ways to stay connected.
Okay. It took me no time. I used paper and pen and an envelope. So it took me very little time, put some thought into it. But what did that do for you? What has it done for you in the past years when you've woken up in your tent, you've made your cup of coffee, and you're like, and here's your letter for today? What does that do for you?
I read it in the morning on the toilet. No, I'm kidding. I read it in the morning, usually, when I've got up, it's cold outside. I got my little cup with my either tea or coffee in it, and I read it. And so, no, it's encouraging. Sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes they're just funny. But I look forward to it. And now the guys that I'm with know that happens. And so I don't share it with them, but they know that, you do that. Greg specifically, who goes with me every year, we drive up together early before everybody else. Like, he knows that, I'm reading those, and he knows I have them. Cause I take it out the night before, and I have it with my shorts and my shirt and my clothes. So when I get up early in the morning, it's all there and I can grab everything. And, so yeah. So it's something I definitely.
Well, and also on this fishing trip this year, you have a new companion. So that'll be fun for you.
Oh, so Shadow will be with us, our service dog. So Shadow is going to be with us, will be with me traveling. Yeah. So it'll be interesting because I'll be fly fishing and out on the lake and with a dog and figure out like what she's going to be doing.
While you're fishing,
she's going to love it
all week. I'm going to be watching our grandson all week while my daughter and son-in-law are hosting and
you get
teaching
to invest
at junior high camp. So, neither one of us will have a lot of free time to talk, but yeah.
What do you mean free time?
A lot of free time to talk on the phone. Like we
usually don't, because not much.
Usually I'll just get a text when you have service, and
it's the best thing because you like go places. I think like if you're going to get away, go somewhere where there's no like cell service or very, very limited, or you got to drive somewhere if you needed to make a call.
That's why I like going to Cambria on the coast of California.
So anytime I can get away, that happens. So exciting things going on. The last podcast, I don't think we talked about, if you are not part of, we have just launched the 24/7 family app community membership.
It's a membership.
So membership that what we believe so strongly is that I'm not going to shit on you, but probably is that we should be investing in our marriage consistently, not just when things are difficult or tough or we're going through a hard season. Like there should be a consistency that we're investing and spending time growing a marriage that is thriving. And we tend in our lives to spend so much money on the things that we really want.
Or that aren't making our marriage any better.
No,
like Netflix and Hulu aren't making
your subscription.
Your
You're probably spending upwards of $100, maybe a little bit less per month, just on subscriptions, TV, streaming. You probably spend more than that. You probably spend,
Starbucks.
$7 to $8 on a coffee every day, depends on what you're getting. Your grande, frappuccino, no whip, extra ice, extra shot, vanilla, one pump this, one pump that, take this out, no cup, whatever it is.
Just put it in my hand.
you are. Like you spend so much money in these areas, but we don't take time to actually spend a little bit of money. Like we're talking about less than 60 cents a day. You're talking about like $18 a month for a couple to have constant investment, resources, support into your marriage. And that's what that membership is. It's a community for you to connect with others, ask questions, engage. We are on there as well. It's live calls. It's Q&A calls. It's access to courses that normally other people are paying for. It is the resources, downloads. I mean, there's a lot and it's constantly being updated. There also the part that I like is, which we're going to probably have about one a week or so of the Javi approved, which is so many men have been telling me when I am coaching, they're like, I don't know how to say things that way. I don't know how to word it like you worded it, Javier.
To me, I don't know what to say. I wish you could be in my ear, Javier, because you just said it perfectly, but I won't remember that when we're having this discussion.
Yeah. And this honestly applies to it works for both, not just for
it's
guys.
Not just for guys.
It's like when this is said, here's what to say and what not to say.
So this is short format. So these videos are 2 to 3 minutes long. So you watch it. This is what your spouse says. This is what not to say. This is how to respond. And then there's a script below it. So you can just screenshot that, download it to your phone. So when you have that, you can kind of refresh your memory. So it's like having Javier as like a little earpiece in your ear.
There you go.
You're like, wait, I know what to say now.
So there's like literally like script there and video. And then we're not wanting you to repeat the script. It's just giving you an idea is like, here's a healthy response as opposed to this one that's going to bring further disconnection. Or it's
just going to blow up the situation, because that's typically what happens. I've noticed that a lot in our marriage is in the past, like we'll blow something up. And then when we go back and think about the thing that we were discussing in the first place, you're like, it's not that deep. It wasn't that big of a deal. But because I overreacted or I didn't respond well, I blew it up. Or maybe you blew it up.
Yeah.
But mostly I blew it up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's likely the scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I hear
music.
Hear music? It could be me, but I hear music. So you can see we're kind of a little bit of a new space that we're for the first a couple of episodes now, or that we're here, and it's not a permanent home for us. But as a marriage lab is in transition, and as we're trying to do more video, we need another space. So there's kind of a borrowed space right now for the podcast, but it's working for us.
I needed to say something because you just shared about the membership app. One of the great things that you get on the membership app is called Podcast Overtime. So we end a podcast, and whether you watch it on YouTube or listen on Spotify or Apple, you get the podcast. But then we go 10, 15 minutes overtime, and only those that are part of the membership app get that overtime.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more about what we're talking about, it gets candid. We get raw. We're just talking.
Yeah.
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
So that's another bonus to joining.
Absolutely.
Join now.
And so
there's a link below. There's a link down below, and you can join. And we'll see you in the chat. What are we talking about today, Javier?
I was waiting for you to. Great transition, Shannon.
Ready? Let's go.
We're gonna jump into what tends to be your favorite subject, sex. And but we want to talk about it in this place of this recognizing that your bedroom isn't just where you sleep or where intimacy, where sex happens. It can also be a little bit of a battlefield. Like the bedroom can be that.
There's a song called "Love Is a Battlefield."
And if you don't recognize that there in our marriage there's always a war that's going on. Then chances are you might already kind of be losing. And so I think it's just this recognition that there is a battle going on. There is things taking place within the bedroom. And so it's kind of about like, we wanted to talk about like sex expectations. You like that?
Because then your bedroom becomes like this place that's not a sanctuary for your marriage.
Yeah.
I know Ann and Steve, part of our teaching team, our boot camp team, they share their testimony, and she talks about those first couple years of their marriage where they were sleeping on a waterbed. And she said it was like one of us was on the Pacific Ocean and one of us was on the Atlantic Ocean. And there was like no unity, like, don't touch me, don't get near me. And I know a lot of people feel that way right now.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping today's conversation helps bring some unity, clarity, and maybe some action questions for people.
Well, I mean, there is a place where we can have misaligned expectations or sex expectations. Can be misaligned.
Did you think of that on your own, or did you AI it?
No, that one I thought on my own. Because I was thinking about what are the expectations within sex,
and then you
and what we have, and you marry them together. And so I believe that there is a spiritual battle going on before it's even a physical battle.
100%.
Because that's a place where the enemy wants to try to divide, is in this area. And we know going into this right now, every time we talk about this subject, is the fact that it can be difficult. It can be tough because can be hurt tied around this. There can be woundedness, past abuse that people experience that's now carried in and impacting your marriage in this area. Like, we get that. And so this is not, so please know that we're not telling you got to get over that and this is what you need to do. Not at all. Like, those are real things that are happening with couples, and why there seems to be certain expectations that sometimes we feel don't get met. But I think the problem with expectations is the fact that we don't have conversations about them. We don't communicate about them, especially within this area. And I think when you have misaligned expectations or sexpectations, what begins to happen is the enemy can kind of come in and bring division, and things just implode. And so, so I think we want to kind of talk about, like, how do we actually navigate through what maybe expectations are, conversations around them.
You know, this one thing that you say at boot camp all the time when we're talking about on Saturday when we teach about the minimalist marriage, is that I teach on a topic about conflict, and you jump in and say that we need to normalize conflict. And I think for so many couples, we need to normalize talking about our sex life within marriage with our spouse, because we almost put it on the shelf and we're like, can't talk about it. It's so uncomfortable. I don't know how to bring this up. I don't know how to talk about it.
Well, that's me. That's still kind of me, Shannon.
How do I tell my spouse what I like? How do I tell my spouse that this thing we're doing is really painful, or I don't like it anymore? Oh my gosh, how do I tell them? I don't know.
Shannon, don't use that voice, because you're minimizing people who that's really hard for them to talk about.
It's serious. Like, we make all these things that we should be able to talk about, and we make them like these far-reaching
I'm going to push back, because you're saying that we should, but for a lot of people, like, I think it's important that you talk about it.
Let's normalize it within marriage.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's get to a place where we can be like, where I can say to you, hey, last night was really fun. I had so much fun. But you know what was funny or really difficult at the age we're at is this, or that was so funny when you almost fell off the bed. Like, being able to laugh and enjoy each other and not make it like awkward. Like, there's sometimes where couples walk out of the bedroom and it's like, you look at each other like you just didn't destroy and ravage each other in your marriage bed. And it's like, okay, let's go back to watching TV.
So even as you're talking about this, like, this has been our thing, where it still always makes me uncomfortable.
Not our thing, your thing.
It's still always been my thing, where it still makes me uncomfortable. That that's why I understand people and being sensitive to that,
and
because for some people it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not. They didn't talk about it in the home. It was made to feel ashamed, or I don't want to say dirty, but it's nothing like growing up in a Christian home. Like, there was always like, oh, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do that. It became a shameful thing, as opposed to teaching, like, you know what? Actually, the fact that you desire these things is good. Desire is okay. But when it's misplaced, or for our belief, when it's outside of the bonds of marriage, it's unhealthy.
Yeah. But you grew up in a Latin home to boot.
But it was like, don't do this, don't do this. You even go to summer camp, Christian summer camp, don't do this, don't do that. Well, why? Like, what's the why behind it?
Yeah.
And so then people grow up and they either have that, or they have wounds, they have brokenness, there's abuse. So for them to have conversations around it is incredibly difficult. So what I'm saying is, there could be the expectation that a spouse has that you should be where I'm at. We need to talk about this. Why is it uncomfortable for you? Why can't you have this conversation? Because to you, it's been normalized, and to someone like me, it hasn't been. And even at my age and years of marriage, it can still be difficult to talk about.
What I want to say is that there was a season of our marriage when I would want to talk about it. And because you had shame around it, you placed that shame on me. And then I, in turn, thought, should I be ashamed of wanting to talk about the sex I have with my spouse?
Yeah.
Like, why do I get to bear that burden of shame? And you grew in that. Now, I didn't grow up in a healthy home either, Javier. I've just grown in that area, and it evolved through a crisis pregnancy, through the education I wanted my children to have around a healthy sex life. And yes, you have grown a lot in that. But there was this season where I felt your shame, and I was like, gosh, maybe we should just have sex, but I shouldn't bring it up or talk about it because Javi, he doesn't want to, and he's making me feel bad about it. And that wasn't right either that you did that.
No, it wasn't right.
But now, we can talk about it. Usually, I sometimes will jokingly say something while we're in a car and you can't escape, and I'll say something to you and you're like, But if I do want to talk about it, I know that usually if I talk about it on a walk or bring something up and not, I never lead with, we need to talk. I'll just usually say, are you okay?
Sorry.
Is your contact coming out of your eyeball right now?
No, I just have something's in my eye. So yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I feel horrible for you because your eyes bloodshot red now. But do you feel that I've made progress in how and when I talk to you? I'm not looking for
yes,
applause.
honey, absolutely.
Do you want to hit the applause button?
No, can I go over there and hit the? Nate's not here. Nate is going to be helping us produce.
What? Just
so
tell
like
Nate
we'll just
put in an applause.
Yeah,
right
we'll need some of that, some cheers. No, I agree. So I mean, where we wanted to go is like people being able to like, you might have certain expectations, and and one of those like, let's just know this, and we talk about this often, right? The enemy wants you to be divided within the bedroom. So he wants that to be distance, disinterest, like disconnection.
Well, the enemy wants you to have all the sex you can prior to marriage and then have zero sex in marriage. Because that's how he can destroy.
Yeah, exactly.
Us.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting thing. Like, want it here, and then let me take away that, so that brings division and disconnection. And you don't have
unity in your marriage.
So if you're not talking through that, like really the bedroom is where there should be spiritual unity. Like we think that sex is just this act.
Spiritual act.
It is a form of intimacy, but it is a spiritual act also. And like you have to fight for oneness and what that looks like and have conversations. The other point is, like, if you have unmet expectations and if you don't talk about it, it creates a resentment, is what I believe actually happens. And so maybe one of you wants it more and the other one doesn't. They can go without it, or they're their drive.
That's every marriage.
Yeah, their drive, the libidos can shift and change, where I was higher when we first got married, you were not, and it's shifted. And that's okay. We tell guys all the time, like, listen, like the wife may have this expectation that their husband needs to want it all the time. If she doesn't necessarily, like, well, you should, because you're the man. And culture has said, as a man, you should want it all the time. And that's how you're driven. And listen, it can shift for guys where it could be health. There could be, physical things going on.
Seasonal life.
It could be mental. There could be a lot of things tied to it, and just the libido changes, like we've experienced that. One of you may view it as a connection. The other one can think it's a duty. I just have to do it. Scripture tells me I have to do it, so I have to. And so I think if you don't talk about it, then what happens is, like, you're building stories. Like, oh, he just wants me for my body, or she doesn't care about me anymore. He doesn't find me attractive anymore. We'll never figure this out.
That he wants when he gets home from work.
Yeah. So I think this is where, like, if you have this expectation of like, well, they just want this and she just wants that and he just wants this all the time and he doesn't care about me, like, you need to talk about what's your expectation then in that area. And like, what do you really believe about it? Like, how do we come to the table, and what's your need? What are your desires? Like, I think you have to have that conversation. Otherwise, you grow resentful of one another.
Yeah. Well, but just getting to that place where you can have that conversation is so hard for so many couples.
Yeah. Well, like I said, one can expect that, well, we should be able to talk about it. And the other one, it's still tough. So how would you say, if somebody has a hard time talking about it, how do you come to them? What would you say in order to be able to draw them out and have that conversation?
It's so hard because we meet so many couples who say, we've tried talking about it and it crashes and burns. He got mad and he stormed off. She got upset and she shut down and doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So then they avoid the conversation and the topic altogether, which isn't healthy or leading towards unity or resolution. The thing is that the conversation that you want to have, and you just share this out of Jefferson Fisher's book. What is the end result that you want after you have this conversation? Now, you might say, I want to end this conversation by knowing that I won or that I was right. That's being honest with yourself, but that's not going to it's not going to yield the fruit you want in your marriage. So if the end result is, I want my spouse to hear me, but I also want to hear and understand my spouse. Maybe we won't resolve it today, but that we're willing to come back to the table and keep talking about it.
Yeah, but it's also coming to your spouse. Like, I don't want to go on the communication, but it's also coming to your spouse and like, hey, I want to have this conversation. You know, what does it look like for us to have this conversation? And I'd like to better understand where you're at.
Yeah.
And then you can hear where I'm at, and we may not come to full agreement at the end, but I want to hear.
Well, this is a shameless
and then
plug.
Ask them what they expect too.
Yeah. So a shameless plug for one of our downloads is called Engage. And this download was created for couples when you have quiet, alone, unended time to ask each other hard questions. So Engage might be a great on-ramp to having those conversations.
Yeah.
So we sit and you tell me what's one of the biggest successes of your life up to this point? Or what was your favorite childhood memory that brought you joy? And then you're talking about deep things. We're sharing, we're communicating.
Yeah.
And we go a little deeper and be like, so do you feel fulfilled when we're together in the bedroom? Do you feel that I'm meeting your needs? Do you feel that I'm rushing you? Do you feel pressured? Do you feel, what are some things that you want to share with me? So that's a great on-ramp to have those deeper conversations. I can see where it would be hard to just sit down. So tell me what you're thinking about what's going on in the bedroom. And it's like immediately go from 0 to 100. And that gets a lot of spouses thrown off. And you're like, I wasn't ready to go there right now. And working up towards it is a much better on-ramp. So download Engage, and that'll help you have these hard conversations.
Yeah. So I think also when it comes to like these expectations we can have is also like you can come in thinking, okay, it's about performance or it's about frequency. And I think it's more, it's not just frequency. Okay, that whole thing, how many times is like, listen, it's different for everybody. Because it could be 2 incredible times during the week. It could be 1 incredible and just a crazy week. And
but what if it was 5 horrible interactions?
I know, but I'm saying like there can be an expectation of certain things, and like when it's not met, then the lies like, oh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with my body? Does want me? So it goes back to that again.
There is no magic number.
It's not about a number. It's not about frequency. I think it's about intimacy. It's building trust. It's that we can celebrate.
Frequency is important. I'm going to push back on that.
But no, I'm saying
you shouldn't be having it once a month.
No, but the expectation is if we don't, then something's wrong. If we're not having it all, 3 times a week, like I thought. When we've done premarital with couples and they fill out this form, how many times do you expect to have sex? And sometimes you have the women saying 5 days and the husband's like 2. Sometimes a guy 5 and she's like
7.
Or like
0.
1. Yeah. So, and it's not because of lack of desire, but there's different expectations
you have.
And that's where like, okay, what's that look like for you? This is what I'm thinking. Why? And again, it's remembering for women, like everything is connected in that act, where for guys, it can be very disconnected because we have compartments and boxes for everything. And women, it's like they're coming to the table or into the bedroom with a spider web. It's a 5-piece luggage set into the bedroom to have sex because everything's tied from that day, whatever else is going on. And guys are just coming in free. And again, it's not true. Like you probably don't come in with a lot of stuff, and I can come in with a lot of things.
That's so weird.
We have just reversed in this season of life, and so yeah.
So we're not stereotyping men and women, but we are saying for the most part, this is typically how men can operate, and typically for women. But there are unique circumstances.
Yeah.
Where, because we just did a funny reel where you went like this. Like if you're approaching your wife and you go honk, honk and smack on the butt, that's telling her that you're in the mood. We were saying, generalizing for the masses, that that's not the way that you're going to get her attention to get her to go to the bedroom.
Yeah.
But I did say for a couple of us unicorns, me included, that would, because I would think that that's funny, and I wouldn't take offense to it, but 9 other women would.
Yeah.
So there are the unicorns. We're here.
Yeah.
We're staying for life.
Yeah.
And we're just odd and awkward. And
you're not odd and awkward. That's just the way you're wired. Yeah. That's just not odd and awkward.
You love me for that.
So, yeah. So I just, this place, like, have the conversation. If there's a expectation about time and frequency, talk about what that looks like. It's not just about performing and consuming.
Yes.
It is a covenant. It's not transactional. Like, it's God designed to celebrate your covenant. And if there's roadblocks, if there's past hurts and wounds, like, that's what you have to talk about to understand why is the frequency not there. It's deeper than just like, I don't want to. Like, there's more there that you have to talk about and unpack.
And every season of your marriage, it's going to change.
Yeah.
So think of every 10 years, you're going to evolve into different people in different seasons of life. So the first part of your marriage could be 0 kids. There's the frequency and what's going to happen is going to feel different. But then kids, and then you're going to have older kids, and then you're going to be empty nesters. So you have to keep talking and reevaluating where you're at and your expectations.
Yeah. We're going to go further in this in our podcast overtime, because we're going to wrap up here. But let me first tell you, like, if you're listening to this portion of the podcast, you can get the podcast overtime by being a subscriber to the membership. You get so many incredible resources and ongoing support community. It's like a marriage coach in your pocket. So go and do that, so you get access to the overtime as well. But, like, so how do you win, right? Like, if I would say, like, we've been saying this already, talk about it honestly. Like, come to the table. Don't wait for rejection, frustration, for all bitterness, all these things to build up. Have a conversation about it. Don't be the guy like, oh, well, she's not going to want to talk about it. She's going to think you need to approach it in the right way. Say, what would it look like for us to have a conversation around this area?
Yeah.
How can I best serve you in this area? What does it look like for us to be emotionally connected in this? Like, if you said that to your wife, like, she's going to be like, oh, wow, you understand it's not just physical, there's an emotional thing. That's huge if you're able to say that to your wife. How can you pursue one another, not just one person initiating? What does that look like? And this is going to sound weird to you, but, praying about it and praying beforehand. Like, that's maybe
like
odd
right before you have
sex. That may be odd for some people. I'm just saying, like, it could be awkward. But inviting God into it and say, this is tough, this is difficult, or even you're praying to yourself. Like,
we know somebody that does that.
My husband's in this place. I'm not there. God, would you just change my heart right now? Like, I want to serve my husband in this area.
So
I had a tough day.
It's kind of like a private prayer, and it's not like right before the act. You're like, you're making it kind of awkward.
That's a little awkward. It could be a little awkward for sure. I'm just saying that could be what helps some people.
But if you're in the kitchen and you're like, I know that I want to meet my husband's needs. Lord, would you just help me get my mind and my heart right so that I could serve my husband and I could fully be myself and enjoy the pleasure my husband brings to me as well.
Yeah.
That's a great prayer.
Yeah. And then I would say also prioritizing, like we always say, sex starts in the morning, or it has to be good above the sheets before it is below the sheets. And that means like if you have these expectations and you've talked about them, you also need to prepare the soil.
Yeah.
And so that means, prioritizing that this is not about obligation, but like talking about like emotional needs and story and, where they're at and investing into them in that way, emotionally. And just even physical touch and small little things. Mm-hmm. And it may not lead to anything, but that you're there and you're present and you're available. And I would say if it still becomes a struggle, like, Get the help that you need, get the counseling you need. Your bedroom is worth fighting for.
Yes.
Because it's not just about the act of sex. It is a spiritual union and covenant of coming together. So
I have something I want to talk about,
another.
but I'm going to save it for the overtime.
So we're going to wrap it up there. This was just high level. If you have these expectations and you're misaligned right now, talk, come to the table, have conversations, and perhaps say, this is difficult for me. I just want you to know, as we go into this conversation, I don't know how to unpack it. It's going to be kind of messy. Can we talk about this? Can we have this conversation? And so do that, step into that. So there's a lot more on this, but anyways, we are grateful that you're part of the 24/7 Marriage family. Please stay connected with us through social media, through this podcast. There's some fun things coming up with rebranding, with new things, events like new courses coming out. So be sure that you stay connected with us. Please go rate, review this podcast, subscribe, share it with other people, and help us go up in the algorithm thingies. And
so the link down below, link to our membership. Got to join today to get the overtime. And there's a link if you want to come to a boot camp. We have 2 more boot camps this fall that you can be a part of.
Yeah. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember, in marriage, you don't have to.
You get to.
Have an incredible week, and we'll talk to you soon. For listening to the 24/7 Marriage Podcast. Help us expand our reach by rating and leaving us a review on iTunes. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more information on the work we do and how to support the 24/7 Marriage, head on over to 247marriage.org and click on Partner with Us. Until next week, remember, in marriage you don't have to, you get to.